We'll be going over IRS Form 1040, tax and credits. So this is part of a Form 1040 series in our playlist. In previous videos, we've already gone over taxpayer information and then items of income. So this is the next the next video in that series where we're going to calculate the income tax and then certain credits. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll take this item from our income section, line 11A, that's the adjusted gross income. We're going to carry that down to line 11B, and then that way we're going to continue from here. Now, in line 12A, we're going to answer certain questions. This is a slightly different format than in years past. To me, it seems a little bit more user-friendly. You can just check boxes, and odds are likely that your tax software will perform the proper calculations. For example, blind taxpayers can simply check the blind box, and your tax software should automatically update the standard deduction based on the additional deduction you may be entitled to. So, line 12A is pretty simple. If someone else can either claim you or your spouse as a dependent on his or her tax return, then you should check the appropriate box. If you're married filing jointly, if you're married filing jointly, you can skip line 12B. This only applies to married taxpayers filing separate returns. If your spouse itemizes on a separate return, you should check that box. If you're a dual status alien, then you would check the box on 12C. And then for you and your wife, or spouse, my apologies, if you and your spouse were born before January 2nd, 1961, odds are likely you're going to be completing Form 1040 SR. But if you are completing Form 1040, you can still check this box. Your tax software should update your standard deduction accordingly. So you do receive an additional deduction for being age 65 or older. You do receive an additional deduction if you are blind, and you receive both of those if both of those apply to you, and same with your spouse. So all of these would be factored into your standard deduction. So let's just say that our married couple doesn't qualify for any of those, but they do qualify for the standard deduction of $31,500. I pulled that information from right here, right? The first question is, where is the additional deduction for seniors? So that was part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and we will actually see that come up a little bit later. So that's actually calculated separately in Schedule 1A, and then it's added back in line 13B. So we put in the standard deduction, and then in line 13A, we're going to add any qualified business income deduction from either IRS Form 8995 or 8995A. So the IRS Form 8995 is the simplified calculation, and you may be eligible to do that if you have qualified business income, REIT dividends, or publicly traded partnership income. If your 2025 taxable income was below the threshold that requires you to use IRS Form 8995A, and if you are not a patron in a specified agricultural or horticultural cooperative. So there's a simplified calculation form, that's 8995, and then there's the standard QBI deduction form 8995A. So let's just say that they do qualify for a $10,000 QBI deduction, and additional deductions from Schedule 1A. So this is a new line item for 2025, and this includes all of the deductions that were part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So That includes, let's see, that includes no tax on tips. So that's a misnomer. There could be taxes on tips, but for the vast majority of tip earners, you perform this calculation and it will zero out your tip income. But it is a deduction. It's not a blanket rule that says no tax on tips. So if you work at like Peter Luger's Steakhouse and you earn $400,000 a year in tip income up in New York City, there is going to be a phase out to how much you can deduct. No tax on overtime, same qualifications. Many people that work overtime are going to be well below the filing threshold, but the phase out threshold, but there is a phase out calculation. Car loan interest, same thing. And then for people that are age 65 and older, yes, there is an income based phase out for the enhanced deduction for seniors. So all of that is totaled up in line 38 on Schedule 1A, and then you would put that deduction here. So let's just say that we don't have that deduction. Actually, I'm going to make my math easier. So we will say that there's a $500 deduction. So now we're going to add lines 12E, 13A, and 13B, and we get $42,000. We're going to subtract that from the AGI that's in line 11B, and we get $48,000. This is the taxable income. So now this is where you would need to use either the tax tables as directed in the IRS instructions, or you may need to use tax worksheets to calculate tax. So what we are going to do is briefly go over some of the things that you would need to use to calculate your tax for line 16. So there are several worksheets that you would need to calculate if applicable. There's the qualified dividends and capital gain tax worksheet. There is the foreign earned income tax worksheet. There is IRS Form 8615, which is for unearned income for minors. And then there are a couple of other tax forms, 8814, 4972. This is for lump sums for distribution. So there can be a lot of complexity here. You do need to be aware of which tax situations may apply. For example, Schedule D is a pretty common schedule. So if you have significant capital gains, you may need to use the Schedule D worksheet to calculate your capital gains. Fortunately, tax software has all this built in, so if you're simply using tax software, then you're going to have to either break down the black box where all these calculations are performed to see if they're correct, or trust that the black box is spitting out the correct answer. However, we're going to keep this simple in our example. We're only going to take the income tax from $48,000 on the tax tables. So I am going to look that information up in the tax table to see what the applicable tax would be for a married couple filing jointly. So for a married couple filing jointly, that has exactly $48,000 of income, that is going to be $52.86. Now, Schedule 2, line 3. Schedule 2 is the schedule for any additional taxes. The most common are going to be either alternative minimum tax, repayment of any premium tax credit that was paid out for marketplace taxpayers that get the premium subsidy for their health insurance. There's also on Schedule 2, there is space now for any report of a credit, the new clean vehicle credit that resulted in a rebate that you were able to obtain from the dealer. So starting in 2025, the clean vehicle credit was one that you could either report on your tax return, or you could use that at the dealership from a qualified clean vehicle dealer, so that the vehicle that you purchase is reduced by that, the purchase price is reduced by the tax credit. So you could take that instant tax credit. You would still need to complete Schedule 2 to show that you originally were entitled to the credit, and that you then transfer the credit to the dealership. So let's just say that when we add all of these taxes, we have $1,000 of additional taxes. So we're going to add that together, and we're going to get $62.86. So now in line 19, we're going to start taking certain credits. So there are two types of tax credits. There are non-refundable tax credits, and then there are refundable tax credits. Everything that we do above this line is going to be a non-refundable tax credit, and everything below this line is, if it's a credit, it's going to be a refundable credit. So the difference between non-refundable and refundable tax credits is that non-refundable credits can reduce your tax bill down to zero. So if you had $6,300 worth of refundable credits, then it would reduce your tax bill down to zero, but it can't generate a refund. So once you get down to zero, that's it. Any other credits are basically wasted unless they can be carried forward to a future tax year. Conversely, a refundable credit can take your tax liability and actually make it negative. So if you had $6,300 in refundable tax credits, then you could push through zero and you would end up with a $14 refund, even if you didn't owe taxes during the year. So in line 19, the child tax credit or the credit for other dependents from Schedule 8812. So the credit for other dependents, that could be for aging parents, disabled adult, either relatives that you're taking care of, or a child of yours that you're still caring for, but that is not eligible for the child tax credit, which you can no longer take the child tax credit when your child is 17. For example, I have twins, and they just turned 17 in 2025. So this will be the first year that we will not be able to claim the child tax credit for them, and instead we'll be claiming the credit for other dependents. So let's just say that there's $1,000 worth of those credits. Schedule 3, line 8, this is the total amount of other non-refundable credits that you may have calculated from any number of sources. So we'll list off a couple of examples. This could be an adoption credit. Again, we talked about adoption credits in a prior video, and there is a refundable portion of the adoption credit. We're not talking about the refundable portion, we're talking about the non-refundable portion. Qualified electric vehicle credits, foreign tax credits, credits for child and dependent care service expenses, education credits, residential clean energy credits. So all of those are reported on the respective forms, and then they all get combined in Schedule 3. So let's just say that that's another $2,000 of credits. We're going to add lines 19 and 20 together. We get a total of $3,000 of credits, which we're going to subtract from line 18, and that gives us $32.86. Now, if you had other taxes on Schedule 2, this could include This could include self-employment tax. There are a lot of other taxes that would be calculated on Schedule 2. You're going to add those back in here. So let's just say that that was $214 of credits, which we add to line 22, and we come up with a nice even number of $3,500. So we're going to take a pause right here. We're going to stop, and in our next video, we'll cover the rest of Form 1040, which includes payments and refundable credits, the refund or how much you owe, as well as all the signature information at the bottom. So that's it for the tax and credits portion of this video. We'll put links in the show notes to articles and resources we've created about schedules, forms, and other topics that are pertinent to this part of preparing your tax return. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comment section. Thank you very much and have a great day.